Over the last few years, there's been a rise in, let's just say, unnatural methods of losing fat. Now, I'm not saying they are wrong or right. Every person is different, but if you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you're trying to lose fat naturally. And the good news is, it's a lot more simple than people tend to think. You really don't need pills, injections, or surgery. You just need to focus on the 5 keys in this video. In fact, I use these 5 keys myself to lose 70 pounds of body fat after being stuck in a body I hated for years, so you can see for yourself this stuff really works. Now, the first key to losing fat naturally is the most important one. Without it, you will not lose a single pound of fat. And it's energy balance, aka eating less calories than your body burns. Look, I want to clear something up really quickly because there is so much BS online, especially around nutrition right now. It doesn't matter what diet you consume, keto, carnivore, vegan, paleo, OMAD, fasting, the only way you will ever lose fat is by being in a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter if your food is grass-fed, BPA-free, blessed by a monk in the Himalayas. If you are eating more calories than your body burns each day, you will not lose fat. And I know it's basic, but guess what? So many people ignore the basics nowadays because they're trying to search for some magic solution that just does not exist. I used to be exactly the same, switching from diet to diet. One month it was OMAD, the next month it was fasting, the next month it was keto. But no matter what diet I chose, the scale just wouldn't budge. Why? Because I was eating too much. Look, when it comes to fat gain and fat loss, your body doesn't care what diet you choose to follow. It cares about calories. End of story. But of course, simple doesn't automatically mean easy. We are surrounded in today's world by food. It's everywhere. The average person underreports the amount of calories they consume when tested by 650 calories. That's why it's so important to become food aware. And the only way to truly do that is by tracking your calories. Yes, I get that it's tedious, but it's really the only way and it changes everything. Once you increase your understanding of what is actually in the food you're consuming, fat loss becomes 10 times easier. And don't see a calorie deficit as punishment or restriction. It's just simple math. You're giving your body less calories than it needs each day so that it has to tap into your fat stores. Once you understand this, everything just becomes so much easier. You're no longer going to be falling for those fads. You're no longer going to be blaming your metabolism or genetics, and the results you want will start to come. And by the way, for someone who struggles to stay in a calorie deficit consistently, I've actually put together a free fat loss Kickstarter blueprint which contains 6 macro-friendly recipes that taste like cheat meals, as well as a free workout plan. You can get that for free using the second link in the description of this video. So key number 1 was about reducing your calorie intake. Key number 2 is about burning more calories, and you do this through movement. Now when I say movement, I'm not just talking about cardio, I'm talking about everyday movement, standing up and going to the toilet, your commute to work, literally anything that involves moving. Something that a lot of people don't understand is that 30 minutes on a treadmill burns on average around 250 calories. You will burn double or triple that just by your daily movement. But yet, people are obsessed with doing cardio. When I was first trying to lose fat, I thought the answer was doing 3 hard cardio sessions every single week. I would go to the gym and absolutely kill myself for 45 minutes, like wreck myself until I was drenched in sweat and barely able to walk home. And I considered myself active because of that. But the reality was that apart from the time I was at the gym, I was glued to my sofa, and if I had to go anywhere, I would get a bus or an Uber. Eventually though, I realized it's not about what you can do in 45 minutes 3 times a week. It's about what you can do in the 16 hours you're awake every single day. And that's when I switched my focus to making sure that I got 10,000 steps every single day. I literally walked anywhere that was feasible, and I would purposely go on an evening walk if I hadn't hit my count yet. And listen, the average person burns 40 calories per 1k steps they do. So if you're doing 5,000 extra a day, that's 200 calories burnt extra every single day. Take that over a month. 6,000 calories. That equates to more than 2 pounds of body fat just from walking. So forget doing hard cardio sessions. Yes, if you want to add them in, but make sure you are hitting your consistent daily movement. At first, it's going to feel like it's doing nothing, but over time, it compounds. Genuinely, one of the main differences between this version of me and this version of me is the amount I move each day. So trust me when I say this, get those damn steps in. On to the third key, which is resistance training. And this one is absolutely essential if you want to look good once you've lost fat. A lot of people I work with, they come to me at first and they're like, Aidan, I don't get it. I've followed your videos advice, I've lost fat, but my body still doesn't really look how I want it to. And the first question I ask them is, have you been lifting weights? And 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is no. Look, when you're in a calorie deficit, but you're not applying any stimulus to your muscle, your body will happily burn both fat tissue and muscle tissue because it doesn't see a reason to keep the muscle around. Resistance training of any kind is going to prevent that, whether that's lifting weights, doing bodyweight exercises, banded exercises, as long as there is a level of difficulty involved and you are pushing yourself. So many people make the mistake of rocking up to the gym and putting no effort in. Unfortunately, that's just not enough. Throughout my transformation, I fluctuated between a 3 and a 4 day gym split. And I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours max a week in the gym, and look at the way my body changed. That's what resistance training does. It turns weight loss into pure fat loss. The goal was never to see the number on a scale tick down. It was to build a body that you're actually proud and happy to live in, so you feel stronger, more confident, and ultimately lead a better life. And for some reason, people also think they have to go to the gym to achieve a transformation like that. Wrong again. Take a look at my client Nick. In just 16 weeks, he lost 24 pounds of fat and gained tons of muscle. And do you know where he worked out? In his bedroom with 2 dumbbells. If you focus on progressive overload, meaning increasing the load on your muscles over time by lifting more weight or doing more reps up to a maximum of 12, you will gain muscle. And don't overcomplicate your training. Simple workouts that you enjoy are the best. All these influencers talking about optimal this, optimal that, it's bollocks. The best workout program is the one that you enjoy so that you can stick to it consistently. And look, if your goal is purely weight loss, then ignore this key. But what I'm good at is getting people to lose fat, so I strongly advise that you resistance train. On to key number 4, and this one is completely overlooked by the majority of people, and it's sleep and recovery. People tend to focus on what they're actively doing, what they eat, how they're moving, their workouts, and obviously that stuff is important. But if you're getting in bed at 1 a.m, scrolling on TikTok until 2:30, and then getting up at 7 after having broken sleep, you are making fat loss 25 times harder. When you're sleep deprived, your hunger hormones get fucked, your cravings go up, and at the same time your willpower goes down, and that makes it nearly impossible to stay in a calorie deficit consistently. Fixing your sleep is so important. It's where your body builds muscle, it's where your hormones are produced, it's literally essential for your body and brain to recover. And look, I'm not one of those guys who's going to try and convince you that you need to sleep in a perfectly temperature controlled room with red light therapy going, with blackout blinds and nose tape. Although to be fair, I do have blackout blinds, but aside from the point, you need to focus on sleeping for 7 to 8 hours a night, and that means time asleep, not time in bed. This is what personally works for me. Firstly, set a bedtime that you stick to every single night, bar the odd occasion. For me, that's 9:30 p.m. And I know what you're thinking right now, Aiden, you're 27. What kind of 27-year-old sleeps at 9:30? And what can I say? I'm just a morning person. But your bedtime can be whatever suits you. Just make it consistent. It literally doesn't matter as long as you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Also, I cut caffeine 8 hours before I go to bed. I absolutely love caffeine. Early in the day though, whenever I touch it after 1 p.m, I cannot sleep. I also dim my lights around an hour before I go to bed, and I put my phone down and read a book for the last 45 minutes awake, and then 90% of the time I have a great sleep. Like I said, that's what works for me, but it has worked for everyone I've suggested it to too. But find what works for you and what's feasible for you, and you will be amazed how much fat loss feels easier when you are sleeping and recovering properly. And it's important to remember that recovery doesn't mean just sleep. It also means managing your stress levels and taking rest days. If you're running on fumes, your body isn't going to prioritize fat loss, and neither are you. Don't be one of those people who wears burnout and exhaustion as a badge of honor, because it's really not. Take care of yourself and your body and rest properly, because it does make a massive difference. The 5th and final key is consistency and patience. And yes, it's cliche, but cliches exist for a reason, right? And I promise you, this key is the difference between the people who lose fat and end up rebounding after a few months, and the people who lose fat and keep it off for the rest of their life. Because look, fat loss isn't about smashing it for 5 days and then having 4 days off, and then smashing it for a week and having another 3 days off. You don't need to be perfect every day. What matters is that you keep showing up every single day, even when it feels like the results aren't coming. The problem that a lot of people face is they underestimate how long it's going to take for them to lose fat. But what you need to understand is that you're not going to be able to undo years or even decades of bad habits in a couple of months. If you're 30, 40, 50, 60, or even more pounds overweight, you have to get it in your head that it's not an overnight job and it's going to take some time. You're going to have days where it feels like it's beyond easy, but you're also going to have days where it literally feels impossible. I still remember days where I was sat there and I would be close to tears because I genuinely was convinced that I was going to be stuck in a body that I hated for the rest of my life. But what did I do? I kept going, And look how that turned out. I'm literally now helping other people do the same thing that I once thought I would never be able to do. And maybe this wasn't the glamorous video that you were hoping it was when you first clicked on it, but I'm not here to sell you dreams. I'm here to show you reality. And the reality is you can and you will lose fat if you stick to the basics consistently for a long enough period of time. I am proof of that. My clients are proof of that. And you can become proof of that too. So just be patient. And in those moments where you're tempted to quit, think back to this video and remember what that Aiden guy said. And look, if you want that Aiden guy in your corner, where I will personally coach you through this process so that you can lose fat and keep it off for the rest of your life, click the first link in the description, watch the video, and see if my coaching is the right fit for you. Other than that, I hope this video helped. If it did, leave it a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.